Hello, welcome to the Businesses Give Back competition. We are Team 5. My name is Colby Mangino,
I'm Rebecca Flynn, Sarah Navarro.
and we're here to talk to everybody today about water rescue and how we're going to push for the fundraising for that such topic. And what I mean by water rescue is the search and rescue for accidents that we cannot control in lakes, rivers, and such bodies of water. Mainly in the Dallas-Fort Worth area because it's a bigger problem than probably all of us realize. But perhaps if it happens to a friend of yours, a relative, something like that, then it becomes more real, and we're just going to shed some light on some of the dangers and things and how to possibly fix it. So we're here today to talk to you because the individuals that will be pictured on this slide could not be with us. For instance, Brandon Fugate, Lake Ray Hubbard, 2008. Chad, Lake Ray Hubbard, 2011. Connor, Possum Kingdom Lake, 2012. Jacob, Possum Kingdom Lake, 2012. Kiefer, Lake Ray Hubbard, 2011. Nick, Trinity River, 2012. And Scott, Canyon Lake, 2009. We're here to speak for their families and on their behalf. They could not be here to join us to tell their side of the story on what being on the receiving end of search and rescue is like. But we want to explain how and why it exists, why we need to fund it, and what we can do to change the lives and improve the quality of the families who have had to deal with such horrible circumstances. And so I'll pass it off to Rebecca to explain our company and why we're here.
Alright, so we are Hummingbird, and for over 40 years we have been America's favorite fish finder. We are the leading innovator of side image technology, and we continue to produce new and exciting technology year after year. Hummingbird began in 1971 in Alabama, starting out producing small electronic fish finding devices. In the years following, we began producing the first waterproof fish finders in the 70s, and eventually even 3D sonars in the 90s. Our company introduced fish finders, depth sounders, marine radios, and GPS systems to the fishing world, and our Hummingbird products are now available through a wide variety of retailers in over 100 countries. But today we are here to talk to you about the product that kind of started it all for us and how we can help use this for a much bigger cause that goes far beyond fishing. So I will hand it off to Sarah so she can talk more about our sonar devices.
So just to give a little explanation of what sonar is, it's a sound navigation range. And what sonar does is it sends out sound waves and it bounces back sort of a map of what's below the surface or possibly up on the surface. And so here we have a couple of pictures of what it might look like from sonar. And in our company, the people who buy these sonar machines are professional fishermen who want to get a good catch. So they go out in their boat and they look in their sonar and they see where there's a vast amount of mass, which is usually fish. So then that's where they'll cast their bait to find out if they can catch some good fish. In this situation, we thought it would be a great use of our product to see if there's something bigger than a fish, like a body, for instance. So here in the pictures you can see there's a bit of a mass on the middle picture, and that would be a body.
Okay, to clarify more of why sonar is important in this situation, I'll tell you a story of a friend of mine. And really, I was more friends with his brother, but I knew him somewhat. And his name is Brandon Michael Fugate. He was the first person pictured on 2 slides ago. And his story, he died at the age of 18 in Lake Ray Hubbard, as I said. Him and 2 of his friends were out in a boat on November 29th, 2008. In that time of the year, it's very cold. Obviously, storms can come. The water temperature can get very low. On that day, it was 47 degrees. A strong wind came and knocked him and his 2 friends out of their boat and into the water. And the scary part about that is that the boat kept going. And so, what are the 3 people left to do but try to fight for their lives? 2 of them were able to make it to a nearby fisherman's boat, and they climbed to safety. Brandon, on the other hand, did not. And he did eventually go missing that night. And so what you have to do in that situation, immediately go search use the best technology, the best equipment that you can find and scrap and come up with. Get as many people involved as you can, possibly. But they did not find him that night. They did not find him the next day, nor the next week, nor the week after. It actually took 29 days. And it's very hard to deal with that as the family, because during those 29 days, you're left to wonder what happened, where is he, how can we deal with this? And a big problem, and why that number is so big, is because a lot of the search and rescue teams that were trying to find him were volunteers, did not have the proper tools that they needed to do the job, did not have a lot of funding, and sometimes had to go into their own pocket to find money to pay for rescue boards, cold wetsuits. You don't want to go into 47 degree water without the proper swimwear. So in the aftermath of all that, no, he did not make it out alive, but the family did decide to dedicate the rest of their lives to improving the situation for future situations like this. They started what's called the BMF Project. It's a charity that we will be describing in just a second.
So the BMF Project is a nonprofit organization, and it was started by the family. So this is kind of why we picked this specific nonprofits, because it's important to us here, and it's important to kids our age who like to go out in the water and have a good time, because accidents do happen, and you never know what can happen when you go out there. So the BMF Project, they try to raise money for SAR, which is Search and Rescue. The way they do that is they have annual golf and volleyball tournaments to raise money. So they really do everything they can to try to get money, however, that they could use a lot more. They've donated over $50,000, which is a lot of money to donate to such a significant cause. But we want to help to do more than just money, because we know that with our tools we can contribute so much more.
Alright, so possible solutions. A lot of these water accidents aren't very easy to prevent or even supervise as far as authorities go. The best way to prevent these accidents would be obviously to be educated and practice good water safety skills. So these are things like wearing life jackets, not going out alone, using caution at all times, being extra careful at night, and even not drinking an excessive amount out on the lake, because that is a large number of how all these accidents happen. And like we've just seen, a lot of people don't come out as lucky. So that's where search and rescue comes in. And like Colby just mentioned, a lot of these search and rescue teams don't have proper funding. They're coming into their own pockets to get money to pay for these equipment. So that's where we come in. And providing proper funding will allow us to purchase sonars, cold suits, diving tanks, and rescue boards that could have possibly saved some of these lives that we've seen.
So our goal, obviously we want to help the BMF Project because that's important to us, but we want to help promote, provide, and prevent. Our tools are special because, like I said before, you'll be able to spot a body mass in there. And in the case of Brandon, 29 days is a long time. So as a family, first off, losing your loved one on water is very traumatic. So waiting 29 days to find out, the hope, maybe he found an island somewhere, maybe he made it to shore and he's just, in danger. You're thinking about that the whole time, and as a family, you'd have to wait and then not have a body, and then of course the body's going to be in the water for a long time, and that's not going to do a lot, of good to the body. So with our tools, we'll be able to, let's say that night that Brandon was out there, let's say a boat nearby had one of our sonar machines on the boat. They might have found him immediately, or for sure they would have found him way sooner than 29 days. So that's what we want to do. We want to prevent that from happening and help those families to be able to handle the situation in a better way. But we can't do it alone.
All right. There are definitely a lot of ways that we can reach our goal. We want to provide as many things ourselves as we can. Our tools, we produce sonar. We want to give them to as many search and rescue teams as we can. Obviously, the BMF Project is already doing that, so we want to support their cause. But, for instance, a search and rescue team of 4 will consist of like a boat pilot. You're going to drive out to the location, 3 divers then will need to have the tools that they need to recover, rescue, save, whatever that needs to be. Here's our tool, the Hummingbird Ion 12, and then, as I just said, 3 rescue boards for the other 3 non-piloting members. This is just a small list. There's obviously, you can Google water rescue gear, and it'll give you throw bags, clamps, all sorts of stuff, helmets, flashlights, CB radios. Just a basic list of things that we found that seemed to be the most important, and things that certainly would have helped out for Brandon's case and for the other 6 individuals that I showed up on the screen earlier.
So this is just kind of an outline of our budget. We here at Hummingbird are going to be donating 4 Ion 12 sonar devices. This is our top of the line device. Each of these are roughly $3,000, so total we're going to be donating $12,000 worth of equipment. And then from you, the Chamber of Commerce, we're asking you to donate roughly the equivalent of what we're donating. So $12,000. This is going to go towards 12 rescue boards, 12 cold wet water suits, and then 12 spare air rescue tanks. And then like Colby mentioned, this is enough to provide 4 teams of 4 people each. And that might not sound like a lot, but that's actually enough to serve over the entire DFW area. So if you think about how many lakes we have, how many lives have actually been lost in these lakes near us, that could go to serve and actually save many lives. So $12,000 from us, and then $12,000 for the Chamber of Commerce.
Rebecca mentioned a couple of water safety techniques to adhere to, certainly. Don't speed in your boat. Do not overload your boat. Do not consume drugs or alcohol while on the water. Be careful of bad weather. And be careful of any boat failure you may have. You think your car sure breaks down and you're kind of screwed for that, but imagine if you're in the middle of a lake and the shore is even out of your eyesight, bad things can happen. And just keep in mind things like this. 107 boating accidents happened in Texas alone in 2014. And because of those, 39 fatalities were experienced. Texas is ranked 3rd in most boating deaths in the United States in 2013. And we'll just conclude with the fact that a life is irreplaceable. Thank you. Any questions?
Who would manage the 4 boats or rescue teams?
There's a lot of organizations that do that. The Texas State Game Wardens are a part of it. There's local fire departments. There's even independent search and rescue teams, just like I said, volunteers. Anybody, like, it takes a lot of training, but and being a member of the fire department or the game warden itself is a great start for that, but anybody can do it.
In the BMF project, they have a lot of connections already because that's what their main goal is. So they already have a bunch of SAR groups out there. So our plan is just to like provide more for them.
Mm-hmm. And they partner with Guns and Hoses, the local fire and police nonprofit organization. They work with the game wardens. They disperse a lot of things to a lot of people behind the scenes that we don't necessarily come across with every day ourselves.